think hoodie may have been a mistake to wear today. It's a little warm up here. I don't have anything underneath.
Hey, no.
Right, yeah, thank you. That would be great. Like, who's that guy? Sorry, it was hot up here, guys. They would never ask me to come back to this church ever again. I mean, it was cooler this morning, but I thought it was supposed to be raining today.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Catalyst Church. If you'd like to stand, we'll get started with worship. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. Whoa, I almost lost my microphone.
Do you have, is there...
Check. Oh, no. Dying? Did it die? Oh, no. Hold on, guys.
Cool. You want this one?
Battery? Do we have another battery? Do you know if we have another battery?
How's the weather, guys? It's good. One of those days.
That's a first. Oh, it's still doing it. What is going on? Check. What did I do?
Oh, is it my thing?
Oh, is it interference? But it was fine. Check. No, it's still in and out. That's weird. Nope, it's, oh, okay, check. Testing. We're just gonna try it. We'll see. If it goes out, just keep singing. All right. Ready? There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock. Praying for a miracle, thirsty for the living well. Only you can satisfy. Sweetness at the mercy seat, now I've tasted. It's not hard to see. Only you can satisfy. There's honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock.
Whoa, freedom where the Spirit is, bounty in the wilderness. You will always satisfy. Oh, there's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock, purpose in your plan, power in the blood, healing in your hands. Started flowing when you said it is done. Everything you did's enough. I keep looking, I keep finding. You keep giving, keep providing. I have praying, you keep moving. I keep praising, you keep proving. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. I keep looking, you keep finding, you keep giving, keep providing. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. I keep praying, you keep moving. I keep praising, you keep proving. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. Yeah. There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. There's honey in the rock, purpose in your plan, power in the blood, healing in your hands. Started flowing when you said it is done. Jesus, Jesus, who you are is enough. There's honey in the rock. 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 Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus. Oh, how sweet it is to trust in you, Jesus.
Amen. Let's give the Lord a hand.
Hey, good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Seem pretty excited about it. Yeah, that's good. That's good. But hey, whether you're excited about it or not, we're excited. We were thankful for you, and I hope that you've had a great morning thus far and that things are going great for you. God bless you and your families, and pray that haven't you been blessed by your mom? Haven't you been blessed by those women in your life who've had such an impact? And so thank you so much, and thank you as a church for all that you do. We have so many women serving our congregation that just do such a tremendous job. So thank you for your mother-like instincts, not only at home, but also here at our church as you serve. So thank you. Pray that you are celebrated today. And before you leave today, we do have a small gift for you back there. And it's Bath & Body Works, I think. And so I don't know. I've been told that's cool. And I'm not going to lie, my wife ordered them using the church credit card. So I provided the credit card, and that worked. And so that was my contribution. But want to be able to just honor you before you go today. So thank you so much. That's just a small token of gratitude for who you are and what you mean to this community and to this church and obviously to our family. So happy Mother's Day. If there's any way we can be praying for you, any way we can be lifting you up and celebrating with you as you go, please let us know. You can fill out the cards in the chair back in front of you, drop it in the box back there that says prayer request. You have questions about Catalyst, you want to get baptized, you want to set something up, you want to serve, any of those things, we would love to be able to visit with you and help you in any of those things, and or just to communicate. You just you want to talk. Had some good visits here with people just want to talk about church, want to talk about just who Catalyst is. We'd love to be able to have those conversations with you. So let us know, and especially if you have a prayer request, drop those. If you would like to give in person by cash or check, you can do so in the offering box back there. In the chair backs in front of you, there's envelopes. And again, here at Catalyst, we want you to have the opportunity to worship individually, but also we want to give God our very best. As we say, we want to make sure that we're honoring him in those things as an act of worship. It's something we get to do. We don't have to do it, right? We're not guilting you into it. We want you to want to do that. That's something that's an act of worship that's very special, and it's pleasing and honoring to God. And so we pray that you'll take part in that on your own time, either through the box or online through our app or our website, catalystrtg.com. So thank you in advance for your generosity. It is allowing us to do things like give gifts to moms on Mother's Day because of your generosity. So thank you so much for that. We're going to continue to worship. Stand back up. Help your mama up if you need to. Let's continue to worship.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, your perfect love is casting out fear. And even when I'm caught in the middle of the storms of this life, I won't turn back, I know you are near. And I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. And if my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Oh no, you never let go through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go in every high, every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. And I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. A glorious light beyond all compare. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, we'll live to know you here on the earth. And I will fear no evil, for my God is with me. And if my God is with me, whom then shall I fear? Whom then shall I fear? Singing, oh no, you never let go through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go in every high, every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. Sing it again. Singing, oh no, you never let go through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go every high, every low. Oh no, you never let go. Lord, you never let go of me. So I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Yes, I can see a light that is coming for the heart that holds on. There will be an end to these troubles, but until that day comes, still I will praise you. Still I will praise you. Oh no, you never let go through the calm, through the storm. Oh no, you never let go in every high, in every low. Oh,
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, He spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship so alive, I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises so loud, from the highest of heights to the depths of the sea, creation's revealing your majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. If the stars were made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still falls shy, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you've said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. 'Cause you are amazing, God. Lord bless you
and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. Amen. Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. Amen. children, may his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children, their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children, their children, their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children, their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you, he is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, and your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you. And amen, amen, amen,
greater comfort can we have than that he is beside us, before us. He's all around us. He's in this room. He's in our hearts. We've surrendered to him with worship. That's the first step on a Sunday morning, is to surrender, to let him in, to change, to be prepared for the message that Nolan is going to bring you today, to let it change you from the inside out. Thank the Lord that he put his favor on us, before us, beside us. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Hey, thank you, Taylor. Thank you, band. I think we had everybody up here but Austin today. So thank you guys so much for how y'all led us this morning. Well, hey, we finished up a series last week. We're going to talk a little bit about legacy today and then again on Father's Day. And so, but this is the message that it rings true for all of us. Moms, daughters, dads, sons, whatever you are, wherever you fall on that spectrum, this is all for us because it's straight from the Word of God, and it's about someone who displayed faithfulness a long time ago, someone that you may not know that well. Which, by the way, have you ever felt like a nobody? You don't have to raise your hand. You're like, why are you making me raise my hand for that? But maybe you felt that way. Maybe you can relate to this person. Like no matter what you do, it's not going to matter years from now. You may feel like your work is monotonous. You may feel like what you're doing just doesn't have value, or it doesn't have legacy value, right? It's just, is this going to matter years from now? Nobody knows me. I'm not well known. I'm not paid well. I don't have a lot of friends. It doesn't feel like what I'm doing really matters much. Maybe the 21st century buzzword, as I was thinking of this, is unseen, right? Has anybody ever felt unseen? Like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not really seen. I'm not really noticed. I remember my parents telling me a story of my brother riding the bus home from school one day, and he was probably like first grade. And I believe it was Mrs. Tucker. And if you ever had Mrs. Tucker, the legend of Mrs. Tucker driving school buses in Artesia, like she took some bumps and some turns. Like she made riding the bus fun. Like it wasn't, you might get in a wreck. You might switch seats without the seatbelts, and just from the ride. Hopefully nobody's related to Mrs. Tucker. I just realized when I said that. These are stories that hit closer to home. Yeah, are you? Was it? Did you know what I'm talking about? Like she got you there. Like it was. I would have thought with the age range, I'm like, surely she's old enough now that the statute of limitations has passed. But anyway, Mrs. Tucker, I believe it was her. I could be wrong on who it was, but she was our bus driver for years. So I'm saying that. Mom, throw me a bone here. Anyway, they drive right past my parents' house. Like that was their stop, was out close to my parents' house or where we lived. And my mom said you could just see Corey's head like just above the window as they drove on by. It didn't stop, and probably almost like an hour later, after making all of her other stops, she finally notices him, and he never spoke up. Like he never said, "Hey, you missed me." He just, he felt unseen. Craziest part of that story is he's still on that bus today. No, I'm just kidding. But she took him home, and that was, my mom, like they knew it was the thing. Like they couldn't text. There wasn't anything where they could just get hold of him. You just had to wait it out, right? Wait until they come. And Corey was. Someone at the time was shy and he wasn't going to say anything, and he just waited. He felt unseen. But maybe you felt that way. Maybe this happens a lot in pickup games when you're the last one picked, or when you're not picked at all, getting asked to prom, right? And by the way, kids, y'all have gone way too far with that, all right? Just go and ask them. You don't have to, all right, sorry, somebody's going to get on to me for that. That ain't the way it used to be, all right? I find myself saying that a lot more these days as I get older. Well, not to compare times, but moving to a new place, right? You move to a new place and you don't know people. Their life is going on around you, and maybe your neighbors, they all know each other, and there's a group, and you're just kind of there. You're trying to get inroads, and maybe it's a place like Artesia where everybody's related, right? Everybody knows everybody, and you're like, how do I get inroads here? Maybe you got overlooked for a promotion at work, and maybe something like, hey, I thought that I was going to be the one selected for this. Chelsea and I, when we were at the last church I was at, First Baptist Rio Rancho, great church, great people, but not a ton of people our age, not a ton of folks our age. They had like a young adult Sunday school class that they invited us to a few times, but it was always like when we had something youth going on. So it was hard to find, as a youth pastor, you would think, a city of 90,000 people and a church of, 700-800 people, you're like, oh, there's going to be tons of people to hang out with. And yet Chelsea and I trying to find people our age, like at our stage in life, it was hard. There was a handful, and we would, we kind of tried to make some things happen, but a lot of times we were hanging out with people who were the youth parents, right? And so the teenagers are like, 15 years younger than us or so, and the parents are like 10 to 15 years older than us, and so we were like, we could just as easily be hanging out with your kids, and the age difference would be the same. It was just, we kind of felt like, you kind of felt alone, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, we had some great relationships, some great people, but the good news is you're not alone in feeling alone, right? You may feel like, hey, I'm the only one, but trust me, you're not the only one. 2018 study said that more than half American adults reported feeling as though no one knew them well, at least sometimes, if not always. And just under half, in the same study, just under half regularly felt left out and alone. And I don't know about you, but I was left out of that study, right? I remember asking any of those questions. But sometimes we feel left out. Sometimes we feel like we don't matter. Now, Moses' mother, as we're going to see this morning, she knew what it was like to be a nobody, to wonder if my life will really matter, to wonder if what I'm doing is going to matter, is going to have an impact. In fact, without looking it up, does anyone, see how good you guys paid attention in Sunday school or didn't? Does anyone know the name of Moses' mother? You had it. What'd you say? Oh. Starts with a J. You're right. Jochebed is her name. You think of it, y'all remember that Sean Mullins song, Rockabye? Jochebed, that's how you remember it from now on. You're just like, oh yeah, now I know it. Jochebed was her name. I didn't know either, for what it's worth. In studying, I was like, oh, okay. And it's actually not until later in Exodus where we actually learn her name. So it's not even in the story we're reading this morning. So here's someone, Moses' mom. Anybody know Moses? We'll just start there. Is that good? Has everybody heard of Moses? You're like, yeah, it seems like, was he in the Bible? Was he the guy with the beard? So Moses, the mother of Moses, you would think, okay, that's somebody who, even if you don't know her, you'd be like, oh, I've seen pictures. We don't know much about her, right? To see unseen. So we're going to get to her in just a moment. We'll get to her whole story. But to set up the context of the story where this is going first, let's go back for just a minute and we'll just run through. If you remember, Jacob had his 12 sons. They didn't like Joseph. They were jealous. He set himself up. He had the coat. The brothers decided they're going to kill him. Instead of killing him, like, hey, let's make some money off of this. They sell him into slavery. He's taken down to Egypt. In the course of time in Egypt, to cut the story short, he works his way up the chain, right? The Lord shows him favor. He goes from prisoner all the way to essentially second in command, second only to Pharaoh. And so Joseph works his way all the way up. He's kind of the prime minister of Egypt. He's working through here. There's famine in the land, just as Joseph, interpreted the dream that God gave him the interpretation of Pharaoh's dream. There's drought and famine in the land, and so he had planned for it, so everybody's coming to them, and so there's great wealth. He has this great power. His family comes to Egypt seeking food. He reveals himself to them later like, hey, it's me, your brother, you thought I was dead, and there's this crazy reunion, and then they all move down to Egypt, right? And we're talking not just his family, we're talking, a people, right? The Israelites, you want to talk about the Israelites, Israel's sons, right? They all come down. They move down to Egypt. Pharaoh, like, hey, don't even bring your stuff because we got you. Right? We're taking care of you. They enjoyed the best of the land, and they prospered, and that's kind of where they settled in. And now they die, right? As happens with 100% of people. All their family kind of just passes away. The Pharaoh who had shown them such favor and kindness passes away, and we don't know exactly. Even scholars don't necessarily agree with who the exact Pharaoh was at this story, but years later, there's a new regime. And perhaps maybe he didn't have any knowledge of Joseph at all, or maybe he just didn't care because things had changed, the situation had changed. And that's where we pick up the story this morning in Exodus chapter 1. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation had died. But the Israelites were exceedingly fruitful. They multiplied greatly, increased in numbers, and became so numerous that the land was filled with them. Then a new king, to whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power in Egypt. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become far too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous. And if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, will fight against us, and leave the country. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built Pithom and Ramses as store cities for Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor and brick and mortar and with all kinds of work in the fields. In all their harsh labor, the Egyptians worked them ruthlessly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose name were Shiphrah and Puah, and by the way, these are probably just the two head ones. It wasn't that there was just two. It's probably more likely that they were the two in charge of all the other midwives. When you are helping the Hebrew women during childbirth on the delivery stool, if you see that the baby is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, let her live. All right, we'll stop there for just a moment. So the Egyptian Pharaoh, he looks around, and there's Israelites everywhere. I mean, this is their land, and this is not to compare, and this isn't even a political statement, but people get protective about what they feel like is their land, don't they? The reason why there's even there's conversations about border crisis in anywhere is because you feel like, hey, I'm here, I pay taxes here, this land belongs to me, my ancestors. Similar situation, right? The Egyptians, they're thinking, hey, this is our land, these are our customs, this is our culture, and we don't want you to overtake that. We were here first, this is ours, we belong. And so they're thinking, we got to do something to stop this, right? We have to do something to stop this because who invited them anyway, right? That Pharaoh did a favor for Joseph and his family. What have they done for us lately? I mean, that's out of context, right? I'm just speaking here into some of the possible situations, right? They're thinking, hey, whatever the reasoning was, they don't like it, right? They don't like that there's all these Israelites there. And the fear was, hey, chances are we're going to go to war because in this day and time, somebody's coming after you, right? Everybody wanted power. There's a power grab. And chances are we're going to go to war with somebody, and all these Israelites, they're either going to be for us or against us, and they're probably going to link up with our enemies because, they're not from here. They have no roots. They have no reason to link up with us. And so they're thinking during time of war, and then they're going to leave. And so the help that we're getting from them is going to be gone. Now, the estimated population of the Israelites about this time was about 2 million. They said 600,000 men, I believe. So they're thinking probably you had women and children to that count, somewhere around 2 million. We're talking a large population here for this time and for the nation of Egypt, for that many to be there. And so Pharaoh decides to do two things. First and foremost, he's like, hey, we're going to force them into labor. We're going to make their lives rough. We're going to put people over them, slave masters, to make them work hard. They're going to build, and we're going to benefit from this. We're going to have them build royal store cities. And then the more aggressive policies, okay, so now that they're here, we can't do anything about them being here. Let's put them to work. But let's make sure that they don't increase. And so he takes the midwives and he says, hey, if there's a boy, when the baby's born, kill it. Now, can you imagine that being your job, right? Can you imagine being told that? And said, if a boy is being born, kill it. This is infanticide, right? This is killing all Hebrew males upon birth. It's interesting. I mean, we talk about Herod when we talk about Jesus being born, and they're going around killing. We see that there's some brutal people in the Bible, right? This struggle for power causes them to do that, to kill babies, right? To kill babies willingly, and to force other people to kill babies, right? So that's what's happening. He didn't want them to grow in number and power, but he also didn't want to miss out on the opportunity for them to be slaves in his nation. So the Egyptians, though, they despised the Israelites. This wasn't like they got along well and they were upset they had to do this. Like they didn't like him either. Like, can we just kick him out of the country? They treated him as objects rather than human beings. But when the God-fearing midwives, which, by the way, we don't even talk enough about them being the heroes of this story, when they failed to carry out Pharaoh's plans effectively, he had to turn to his own people to carry out his evil intentions, right? He's like, hey, this isn't working. Why are these babies being born? And they're like, these Hebrew women, they're stout, like they don't mess around, like they push through labor, and they just have it on their own. They don't even come to us, right? They're not like Egyptian women. They don't need help. They'll do it themselves because they don't want their child to be killed. They understand what's happening. Verse 22 in chapter 1, then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people. So this isn't just to the midwives. This is now to everyone. Every Hebrew boy that is born, you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live. Okay. So imagine that. Now it goes from, hey, midwives, can you just put them to death? Can you kill them if they're born? Now it's like, hey, okay, maybe a few slip by. Maybe they don't kill them at the delivery stool where they're delivering. Now, if you find them, hey, if you're an Egyptian and you see a Hebrew baby boy, toss him into the Nile. Right? This is what's happened. Imagine the horror of a mom watching her baby boy being put to death for simply being born. All right? I mean, everyone's praying for a girl. Now, some of you, I know when you have children, you're probably leaning one way or another, right? Everybody says you want a healthy baby, and of course we all do, and maybe that's genuine, but sometimes you're like, if you have all boys, maybe you're wanting a girl, vice versa. If you have all girls, maybe you're praying for a boy, but everybody in this day and time, they're praying for a girl, right? They're like, there's no gender reveal parties happening, all right? Because it's like, you're thinking through it, like, hey, that's like a death sentence, isn't it? Like, nobody needs to know, right? Like, just, what do you have? And it's going to be a girl. Everybody tells you they're having a girl, right? There's no way to find out in this day and time, but that's what they're praying for. Like, please, God, let this baby be a girl. And this decree sets up the next part of our story as we see here in Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. Now, a woman of the tribe of Levi married a Levite. Now, a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman. That was about to get really weird really quick there. You're like, wait a minute, the math. I thought the Bible, okay. And she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? Yes, go, she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, I drew him out of the water. All right. So as I said, in Exodus 6, we later learned that Moses' parents were named Amram and Jochebed. Great names, by the way. Why don't we name him boys Amram? That's a great name. I mean, really, you think I'm joking. I'm like, who's messing with that kid? What? This is our son Joshua and Amram. What? Amram, that's his name. That's somebody next. Let's start the trend. Here we go. But here's the thing, Jochebed, she played a key role in the deliverance of God's people from Egypt. Again, a forgotten hero in this story. We don't talk about her a whole lot. Someone whose actions may have seemed small and insignificant. Maybe all she did in those 3 years was what mattered. But man, we're talking about the deliverance of God's people. Stories that were told for generation after generation that we still talk about today. We talk about the Exodus. We talk about God delivering his people and into the promised land, and God being a God who keeps his promises. And Jochebed played a key role in how he chose to do that. And so when Moses was born, again, she had the dreaded baby boy, right? Now what do we do, right? As a mom, none of these moms are putting their babies to death. None of these moms are putting their babies in the Nile. No loving mom obeys this edict. They would say, you know what, kill me instead. So she's like, we got to figure out a way to hide him. And probably, truth be told, maybe she wasn't the only one who tried to hide her baby in this time. Maybe not. Surely not. But she recognized when he was born, she's feeling this stress and fear and guilt. But more than anything, she recognized there's something special about him. There's something special about him. And she believed that God had a greater purpose for her son. Now, moms and dads, pay attention to this one. One of the best things you can do for your kids is to believe that God has a greater purpose for them. One of the best things you can do, and I'm not talking about he's going to lead a nation someday. This is just believing God has a greater purpose for my child. Not he's going to be the best baseball player out there and he's going to make lots of money. No, but to believe that God has a greater purpose for this child. They're going to have an impact. They're going to have a kingdom impact that matters. To believe that, to look at your child and to believe that. And here's the thing, that's going to shape how you speak to them. Right? It's going to shape how you parent them, how you treat them, how you pray for them. It's going to change your whole routine, isn't it? When you believe God has a special purpose for them, right? To believe that. Jochebed didn't know. There's no way she could have known. This child, this baby, is going to lead all these people of which she probably wouldn't be around for. To see him lead them out of slavery, out of Egypt. One day it won't be like this anymore, and this is going to be the guy leading the way. This is going to be the one standing on the shore. This is going to be the one telling Pharaoh, the one that's telling us to murder people. Someday he's going to go and tell Pharaoh, hey, let my people go, right? She had no idea that was happening, but she believed. She trusted God, and she said, you're going to make a difference with this one. And think about this. So she hides him for 3 months. Now, any of you try to keep your baby quiet for 3 hours if they're not sleeping? Come on. We're talking 3 months here. Now, somebody's going to tell me, oh, Nolan, our baby never cries. Oh, yeah? Is your baby living in the desert without air conditioning and one of those baby bouncers and an iPad? I'm just saying it's a little different. It's not the same. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Come on, right? I mean, you think about it, like even the best babies, eventually at 3 months, their lungs are developed, right? You know those moments when you're a baby, like when they get a shot and they get quiet for a minute and they're either perfectly fine or they're about to like blow the roof off the building, right? They're filling up the lungs with air and you're not sure what's. I mean, this is a 3-month-old child. There's no way she's going to be able to hide him perfectly for that much longer. So she realizes she has to act. Like, I have to do something. And this required tremendous faith on behalf of Jochebed. Like, it's one thing to like try to get the baby back to sleep because you're tired or because you're trying not to wake somebody else or because you're on an airplane or something, right? You're in a social setting where you're like, hey, please don't cry, please don't cry. Imagine saying, hey, please don't cry because your very life depends upon it. This required tremendous faith, but she refused to let the voice of an authority figure trifle and stifle the voice of God in her life. The fact remains, though, that she had to do something. So ironically, you think about this, ironically, she was actually following Pharaoh's edict by placing Moses in the Nile, right? She could come back and say, well, no, that's what I was doing. But here's the thing, she wasn't abandoning him. And I realize, and this is very relevant because of what's happening in the news around us right now, she was not abandoning her child, right? We see that happening in real world, and right here in where we live, right? This was carefully thought out. This was planned to the best of her ability. She wanted to give him the best chance at survival. She didn't know for sure if he was going to survive. She was trusting God that God had a greater purpose, that he would take care of Moses. And so she took great care to place him in a basket that she covered. She made it waterproof. She placed it in the reeds where it's a shallow part where hopefully the crocodiles won't get there, and it provides shade and it's not going to get caught upstream by the stream. And so she did everything she could do to place him in the place where he had the best chance for survival to be seen. I'm also thinking Jochebed must have known that Pharaoh's daughter frequented this place. She's like, hey, I'm going to place him here. Perhaps she'll see him. Perhaps she'll hear him crying and have mercy on him. She's begging that perhaps mercy will be shown. And I love this too. So Pharaoh's daughter, she found him. She feels sorry for him. And then the door's open, right? Now the wheels are turning. You got to love this. Miriam also, we know, maybe if you know the story of Moses, you might know of Miriam. You might have heard her. But she plays a big role in this too, right? The forgotten women in this played huge roles. She emerges from nearby and she's like, hey, you got a baby there? And she's like, you kind of look up, no. But hey, I know some Hebrew moms that are nursing or that need to be, like, you want me to go find one of them to come and nurse this baby for you? And she's like, where did you come from? Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. And so, I mean, just perfect plan, right? God's plan is just unfolding. And so she suggests finding a Hebrew mom. Like, again, that was the option. I don't know if you couldn't nurse, you had to find somebody to nurse. They didn't have the advances that we have with formula and everything else. I'm not sure how they fed the babies. If they were unable to nurse, I guess this was the option. You had to find someone. So she's like, I need to have a mom to take care of this child until he's old enough to be weaned and can move into the palace with me. And so here's the kicker, ladies. You're going to love this, right? If you didn't pick this up already. She got paid, right? She got paid. Like, she was nursing and raising her own child and getting paid for it. And some of you are like, man, that's the job that I wish that I was made for, right? She was nursing and raising her own child, getting paid for it. And I'm sure there's some type of like black market for breast milk that I don't know about, or it's legit, whatever. Somebody's going to tell me later. No, there actually is. You can sell it. But who's ever heard of getting paid to nurse and care for your child, right? Any of you moms got, like, you're getting paid today because it's Mother's Day, but you're like, hey, is there, like, did you sign up for that? Does the government do that? Who's paying? Like, is there a wealthy person? Like, this is unheard of, right? To raise your child that you love, that you want to raise, and like, hey, you're getting paid for. This was actually brilliant by Jochebed, right? This plan was working out brilliantly. And here's the thing. She would have done it for free, right? She just wanted to keep her child and be able to have him. She's taking care of him. And here's what we see unfolding, and that's, man, faithful obedience in God can change the future. Faithful obedience in God can change the future. I know that's not groundbreaking fact this morning. You already know that, but man, that faithful obedience in those moments, I'm going to trust God to care for my child. And then he returns favor. Hey, not only are you going to get to have your child, you're going to get paid for this. Like, you're going to be blessed in return for this. And from here on out, when you hand him over, he's going to grow up in the safest, most secure location possible, in the palace, right? Ironically, he was close to the one who was wanting to murder him, and yet he was the most protected in that moment, right? Pharaoh was trying to wipe out the Hebrew race. Right? He was trying to make sure that, hey, we're going to work them while we got them, but we're also going to ensure that they're not around for too much longer. All right, we're going to do the best of our can. But here's the thing, God was going to bless the entire world through this nation, through this people. And it all started with a baby boy being placed inside the Egyptian palace. Now, God used obedient women, Jochebed and Miriam, and an Egyptian princess, who, by the way, again, scholars don't all necessarily agree on her identity, which one she was, but he used all these women to carry out his plan, and because of their simple faithfulness, because of their obedience, Moses grew up and eventually led his people out of that nation into the promised land where God would deliver them. And again, these aren't necessarily women whose names we know that well, are they? And yet the Bible is the greatest selling book of all time, and it's more than a book, but it's the greatest selling book of all time, right? You would think if your name is somewhere in there, people are going to know you, right? We know characters from stupid TV shows that don't matter, don't we? Right? You're like, yeah, such and such, I know him. And you're like, no, that doesn't matter years from now. Like, we're talking the story that's endured for generations, and they're in there, and yet we still don't know very much about them, and yet they were pivotal, they were critical pieces in the story of God delivering his people, right? Because of their faithfulness. And years later, when Moses had the opportunity to use his status as adoption Egyptian royalty, right? He remembered his mom and his dad. He remembered where he came from. He remembered, hey, I spent more years learning Egyptian customs than I did Hebrew customs, or we're talking, 3 years here? But he remembered that. He remembered his mom's faithfulness. He remembered what she had taught him. Even again, I don't know if he could even comprehend, but something in him, he caused him to remember, hey, this is where I come from. I belong to Jochebed and Amram. I'm their son. Like, that's my story. God had a greater plan for me. It's not to be treated as an Egyptian. It's to be treated as an Israelite. And so he chose to endure what they had to endure, right? He chose to stand up for someone who was being beaten. He remembered where he came from. And so whether you're a mom or not this morning, your faith and your obedience matters. It matters. It may feel like it doesn't matter because you're not getting the accolades somebody else is. You're not getting the likes. You're not getting the shares. You're not getting the recognition, right? You're not getting the promotion. You're not getting financially reimbursed for it. It may feel like this doesn't matter. God is in those mundane moments, right? God is in those moments where you feel like this may not matter years from now. Faithful obedience, day after day. Moms, it gets hard, doesn't it? I mean, I commend you. It gets hard raising kids, doesn't it? It gets hard doing all the things you have to juggle, and especially now with all the societal pressures. By the way, social media can be a great thing, but it's a picture of something that's not real so often, isn't it? And yet that's the standard you're measured up against, isn't it? Well, here's what I saw on Pinterest. Well, have you seen my house? Have you seen my schedule? Right? Ladies, am I right? Right? It's hard, right? It's hard to be a Pinterest mom. It's hard to be, and I see it as a dad who coaches stuff. I'm like, it used to just be snacks, or you went to the concession stand and got a snow cone. Now it's bags that are decorated to look like a player, and like they have like functioning parts and stuff. And it's like, oh, I got this on Pinterest. It's going to yell at you. Oh, now I start yelling at you, and there it comes. It's hard to be a mom. And it may feel like the day-to-day, like just doing this, raising this child, telling them to pick up their socks, telling them to take care of the small things. It may feel like this is getting so old, they're not listening. It matters. Your obedience matters. Your faithfulness, modeling godliness before them, praying, leading them, bringing them to church, because I know sometimes you're like, this is our only day off, Nolan. You don't know how hard it was to get here. I commend you, right? God sees that. It's important. It matters. And it matters not just for your own future. It matters for the future of your children, right? When they're placed in a situation where they can take the easy way, like Moses could have, or when they can say, hey, you know what? My mama raised me better than that, right? She raised me to trust the Lord in these situations, and it's hard, and we're having to teach our kids those lessons, right? Through learning to lose and learning to endure things, and it's frustrating, but it matters. It matters for the future of the people God has given you the opportunity to influence. You may not be a mom here this morning. You may say, hey, I got a younger brother, a younger sister, or I have nieces and nephews, or I just have people in my life. I have workers that I'm in charge of, or coworkers, or whatever it may be. God has given you the opportunity to influence them. It matters, your obedience, your faithfulness. And the first and foremost important step of faithful obedience is to trust Jesus Christ for salvation, to trust that Jesus Christ provided a way, to know that he is the way, to believe he died on the cross for your sins, he rose again the third day, and say, man, I don't know how all this works, but I'm going to trust Jesus. I don't know why he would die for me. I don't have a lot to offer. I don't have anything to bring to the table, but I trust and believe that he died for me. That's the first step, and if you've never taken that step, today's the day to trust Jesus Christ as your Savior, to believe in that, to receive salvation and forgiveness, to say, man, I'm going to walk in faithful obedience, and it's going to change your future, and it's going to change the future of the people around you. Man, if that's you today, we would love to be able to talk to you about that step, what that means, to help you understand that, to help you walk through that. But man, don't leave this place without having taken that step, wherever you're at. For the rest of us, man, how can we faithfully obey God this week, even in the small, minute details that don't seem to matter? What can we do consistently and trust that God's going to have an impact on our kids, on the people around us, on our own lives? Let me pray for you. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for your son, Jesus Christ. Thank you for the example that we have in people like Jochebed, people like Miriam, people like someone who may not have even been a God-fearing woman and the Egyptian Pharaoh's daughter. God, thank you for how you use us, God, for your kingdom, for your glory, for greater things than we could ever dream of or try to attempt for ourselves. God, thank you for all the people in this room today, God, the faithful moms, the ones who love you, that are setting an example for their kids to follow, Lord, the faithful fathers who are leading their families well, God. For children, God, who are seeing those examples, who are going to be faced with adversity and chances to bail out and take the easy way, God, I pray that they will remember faithful obedience, that trust in God is worthwhile. And God, you make a way even when there is no way. You always have. And we can trust you. God, we can trust you to part the waters. We can trust you to lead us to the place where you want us to be. And God, we're trusting you for that today, for the generations to come. God, thank you for the moms in this room who are here, who are making a difference, who are being faithfully obedient to someone greater than them. God, we love you, and we thank you, and we praise you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
I'm waiting on you, Lord, and I am hopeful. I'm waiting on you, Lord, though it is painful, but patiently I will wait. And I will move ahead, bold and confident, taking every step in obedience while I'm waiting. I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting. I'll be running the race, even while I wait. I'm waiting on you, Lord, and I am peaceful. I'm waiting on you, Lord, though it's not easy, no, but faithfully I will wait. And I will move ahead, bold and confident, taking every step in obedience while I'm waiting. I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting. I will not fail. I'll be taking every step in obedience. Yeah, while I'm waiting, I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting. I will not fade, and I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting. I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting. I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting on you, Lord. Yeah, I will serve you, worship while I'm waiting. I will serve you while I'm waiting. I will worship while I'm waiting on you, Lord.
Hey, you can be seated real quick. We'll get a couple announcements out of the way, and then we want to take a moment here. Hey, just a few things that are coming up this week that are like pertinent. Wednesday night, we will not have activities here, but we will have activities. Our kids are going to be at the Compound Clubhouse, which is at 1216 South First Street. So you take Hermosa, turn right, going south, and the Knowltons have a building out there that's a couple hundred yards off the road there. 1216, though, is the South 1416. 1416, I'm sorry, 1416 South First Street. They'll be there from 6 to 7:30. There's jumpers, they'll have pizza, it'll be a fun night. That's for our midweek kids up through 5th grade. And then for our teenagers, for our youth, we will be headed out to, I think the address is 2 East Cottonwood, but it's, if you know where the winery is, Cottonwood Winery, if you remember where that used to be, across the street from that, on the north side is the Riggs Dehydrator. We're going to be playing dodgeball in a barn, all right? It's going to be fun. But if your child wants to go to that, you can either take them all the way out there, but if they need a ride, you can bring them by the church. Just have them here by 5:45. If you can help me transport kids, because we don't have a bus, we don't have a van, and I have a vehicle, but I can only drive one at a time. You see, I'm begging for help here. People throw me a bone. So if you would like to help with that, if you can go and we'll feed you pizza. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. You know, I know that's what you're yearning for is pizza and hanging out with. You could probably even play dodgeball if you're like you start icing the arm now, so you're ready. But speaking for myself, but you can go with us out there if you would be willing to take a few kids. If you have room in a vehicle and you don't have anything going on Wednesday night, that would be a blessing. That's a way you can serve. It may seem small, but that's an act that would help me out tremendously. And we'll go out there. We'll be back by 7:30 because we have a youth camp meeting at 7:30. So if you have a child going to camp, just meet here at 7:30. If you're a few minutes late getting your kids from the other place, that's okay. We understand that too. Or if you can't make it, be sure to let me know. We'll get you all the paperwork. We'll just be going over the schedule, and there's some medical release and stuff that needs to be signed. So if your kid's going to camp, be here on Wednesday night at 7:30 for that. All right. So that's happening this week. Next Sunday is our senior recognition Sunday. We have 3 graduates. I think they're all here this morning. Elena Harvey, Andrew Angiano, and Gabby Galindo. They were all here this morning. Get a good look at their faces because they're about to graduate. No, just kidding. Hey, we are very excited for them and to do that. So next Sunday, we're going to honor them, but we're also going to honor them another way. Something we suggested to me that I would like to start doing for the future for us. So we'll have a table set up. We'll have a way, a container or something for you to drop. If you would like to bless them with a gift or a card or something, whatever you feel led to do, we will have that open and available next week. We'll have those set up for you to be able to bless them as a church family. We'll also be doing something as a church officially, but also individually. If you guys would like to do that, you're more than welcome to. Next week we'll have that available for you. So that'll be during the service next Sunday, and we'll have a moment of honoring them with picture, video, and everything as well. So gonna be an exciting day. This is the last week for y'all, right? Y'all got this week, so count down quick. And this is cool. Most of these 3 for the most part have been here for for several years. So we've got to see you go through high school and through years of junior high, and so it's been a blessing to watch that. And every year, I can't believe it. The kids are, I mean, it does go by faster as you get older. Young kids enjoy it now because it goes by a lot faster as you get older. You perceive it so much faster. So, but always a special moment, and we're so very proud of y'all and look forward to honoring you next week. So that's next week. And then 2 weeks from today, remember we take Memorial Day off. We kind of call it just a rest weekend. So we will not have in-person services that day. We'll have something online posted on our social media and YouTube channels that week. We'll do a short message kind of opportunity. We want you to continue to worship, but also we won't have any actual in-person services that day. We kind of encourage you to rest, and we know a lot of people lean into travel and everything else, and so we understand that. We want you to be able to worship those still. You can do any online giving that you need to, or if you're a person who gives in person, you want to make sure you do that. You can bring it by anytime that week as well. We'll get that in there. All right? Am I forgetting anything else? So dodgeball and stuff on Wednesday nights, and then we'll take a break for the summer with those things, with the youth and kids stuff. We do have some kids and youth stuff planned throughout the summer. There's a graphic on the TV on the wall behind me and our social media. You can check those things out. We have a lot of things happening this summer for that. VBS, I want to say that real quick, and then we'll get out of here with Taylor. June 11th to the 6th to the 14th, sign up for that. Get your kids signed up if they're coming, if you're helping. If you want to help, there's still time to get plugged into that, but more than anything, get your kids signed up for that. It's going to be a great week here, and that'll be a fun time. So be praying for that, and that's rapidly approaching, all right? Hey, so before you leave, ladies, whether you're a mom or you're just moms and adult females, we want to honor all of you. So even if you don't have kids, we still want you to know we value you and appreciate you. And so there are some hand lotions back there on that back table. Coxie was already scoping out the scents, trying to figure out which one she wanted. So there's some good ones, I'm sure. I don't know what they are, but check those out. Take one of those. Again, that's a small token of our gratitude for you. We hope that you feel loved and celebrated today as you celebrate Mother's Day. So before we go, we do want to take a moment to honor Taylor. If you were here last week, you heard us say this is her last Sunday leading us, and we have a gift for you from the church, but also the band has done something. And so, if we talked about these graduates growing up, if you've been around, you've watched Taylor grow up as well, from high school all the way till now to getting married just a few months ago. And Taylor has it's been a blessing to watch you grow up as well. She's been a blessing to our church. I don't have to ask you to applaud because you know how much of a blessing Taylor is, but can we give Taylor a hand for not only today, for all that you've done? So for 7 years of faithfulness, thank you so much for all that you do and for the young woman that you are. We talked about godly women today, and that's you. That's a picture of you, Taylor. So you've been a blessing to Catalyst. Young ladies, if you want somebody to look up to, come talk to Taylor Odell. She's your girl, all right? She's set an example. She has lived it out. This isn't just something you see on Sunday mornings. This is something you see lived out day after day. Jeffrey can attest to that. Joel and Renee can attest to that. Y'all done good, Mom and Dad. Y'all done good. So you are a blessing to Catalyst, and you always have a home here. So anytime y'all get tired of driving around Carlsbad, just come on back up here, and we wanted to bless you. I know that there's some gifts, and there's a gift from the church and some anonymous gifts there. So God bless you. We love you, and we are so proud of you, and we're so thankful for all that you've done. So thank you, Taylor. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Feel free to come and hug Taylor's neck and let her know how much you love her. Grab your lotions, grab your kids, moms. We love you, but we are gonna send them home with you. You guys have a great Mother's Day, and we'll see you soon.